Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Monster Hunter World video, and in today's video I thought I'd do something a little different and talk about how to hunt. Now I appreciate that by now, if you guys have hunted any number of monsters, you're probably pretty confident in what you're doing. But I do also get a good number of questions along the lines of, how do I fight X monster? How do I deal with X attacks? What do you do in X situation? So I figured it'd be fun and hopefully helpful or interesting to go through everything I do and think about whilst hunting. Right from the preparation before the hunt, all the way up to the things to look out for or consider whilst you're in combat. So with that being said, if you do enjoy this and you do find it helpful, then a like would be super appreciated, and be sure to comment down below and share any tips you guys might have yourself. Things you think about in combat, things that you think might help other players that are new to the series, and also if you're a new player and you found something that works really well for you, also share that too. Now, to begin with, let's start in Astera. I've already selected the quest. We're going to be hunting a high rank Black Diablos. I picked this quest partly because I need a Black Diablos part for an upgrade, but also because Black Diablos is a good, aggressive monster that can give you a bad day if you get too greedy. And Diablos has also been known to be a bit of a wall for some people that are newer to the series, so it seems like a good pick. With the quest selected and the closest camp chosen, it's time to grab my items. Now first up, if you guys aren't using item loadouts, then I strongly recommend you do. Pressing start on this page will allow you to bring up the item loadout page. Here you can save item loadouts so that you can simply withdraw all those items anytime. It means that when preparing for a hunt it's much quicker, and if you set it up right, you're less likely to forget something important. I have my standard loadout with items I bring on every quest, and I have a second one for when I run my sleep bombing set, since it contains additional items needed to combine bombs on the fly. But looking at my standard set, first up I always carry the Power Talon and Charm and the Armor Talon and Charm. These are 4 items you can leave in your bag at all times, and they stack to provide you with a bonus attack and defense boost. The charms can be purchased from the vendor in town, and the talons are made through crafting. You combine the charm with a Basil Talon, and you then get these in return. You will need to buy a second set of charms once you've done that, and they're not cheap, but since these items never expire, it's a worthwhile investment. On top of that, I carry full stacks of Mega Potions and Normal Potions. You could go the extra mile and carry 10 honey, so you can turn those Normal Potions into Megas if you run out. But honestly, I just use regular potions if I take a small bit of damage, and then Mega if I take more. I also carry a full stack of antidotes, just so I don't forget them. You never know when a Rathalos or a Rathian might fly in, or you encounter a poisonous plant or a Gadulaka. The point is, it doesn't hurt to have something to cure this just in case. You could also get herbal medicine, but for now, this is what I carry. Same thing goes with cool drinks. I just carry 5 anyway, so that when I do go to Elder's Recess, I don't forget them. As for Life Powder, this is a must-have item for everyone in multiplayer. Life Powder heals your teammates, so in situations where they might be stunned, knocked over, or immobilized by a roar, something like that, you can heal them if they need it. They're easy to make, so there should be no excuse for not carrying these with you. I also have max potions for if I faint and want to bring myself back up to full health. Again, you could go with ancient potions for that stamina too, but that depends how you feel. Nullberries are there to negate any blights. The stack of flash bugs is so that I can combine flash bombs on the fly, so instead of having just 3, you instead have 10. You could go one step further and carry 3 pre-made and 10 bugs, but I never use that many flashes, so it's not really necessary. The stake is for stamina, and the dung bombs are for if another monster decides to enter the area, you can fire dung bombs at it to make it leave. Now, that's my default loadout, that's what I'll bring on every single quest no matter what. However, given that we're fighting Black Diablos, I also want to grab some Screamer Pods, since you can use them to force it out of the ground when it burrows, provided it's not enraged. It's also worth noting that if you customize your radial menu, those customization options are saved to your item set. So if you make any changes, be sure to update the item set, otherwise the next time you go to load it, it'll revert back to whatever your setup had before. With all the items picked, it's now time to eat. Now there's more to the kitchen than I'm going to talk about in this video. We actually have a dedicated video on the channel from Welcome to Paradise, which I'll link down below if you want to know much more about the kitchen. Before a hunt, the quick and dirty option is the chef's choice, since it maxes out your health and your stamina. But if you did want to look for a better attack or defense boost, or maybe a different kitchen skill like Feline Moxie or Insurance, then you can browse through the options. But for now, we'll just eat this. So, with all that done, now we embark on the quest. Now I'm not going to narrate every single part of this quest, but instead I'm going to cut to all the relevant moments to explain different aspects of the hunt. First things first, dropping down from the camp into this area here, I'm making a mental note that Diablos is in the vicinity, so there's a very good chance that at some point during my quest I'm going to need to contend with both the regular and the Black Diablos, which is precisely why I brought dung bombs with me. However, having now sighted it, it's on my minimap, so I can keep an eye on that as I play. Moving down here, we're then going to engage with the Black Diablos. Now, one important thing to consider when fighting any monster is what you can do in a given time window. One of the biggest killers in Monster Hunter is overcommitting or being too greedy with your combo. I know how tempting it might be to just sneak in one extra hit, but in any situation, it's better to cut it short and roll out than to land the extra attack and get hit. Ultimately, you want to live to fight another day. You'll notice here that I managed to create a small opening by timing my roll so that I could roll through the roar. I don't have any evasion armor skills, it was just a well-timed roll, but that presented me with a small window to get in a couple of extra hits. I didn't try to go for something like the Big Bang combo since I knew my window was small, so I opted for something like the triple pound golf swing since I knew it was safe and I could roll out should I need to. The other important thing to remember when hunting any monster is that it's okay to just run around and get your bearings or gauge the monster's behaviour. You don't need to be on it 24/7, this isn't a video on how to speedrun, this is a video on general hunting practices that'll get the job done and see you come out alive with your loot. As such, in situations like this where Black Diablos charges back and forth, don't always feel the need to chase it. As a melee user, you spend a lot of time chasing the monster, so sometimes it's easier just to dodge and wait for it to come back to you, in turn presenting an opening to attack. Now since I got a part break here, that provided me with a small opening to follow up with another attack, and since I'm using an impact type weapon, I was able to land the KO. And now, this is a guaranteed opening. This is where you can afford to dip into your big damage combos, the sorts of combos that take a good deal of time to pull off. Now that I've broken both of her horns, she's pretty angry, and there are a few ways you can tell this. Firstly, on the minimap, the monster eye has gone red. This means they're enraged. I also have the Agitator armor skill, which activates when they're enraged, and since it popped up on the side of the screen saying it's active, I know that this is the case. Having fought this monster before, I am now also aware that when burrowing, my Screamer pods will not be effective, so I'm not going to waste them. And I also know that she's going to be faster, more aggressive, and when she burrows at the ground, she's also going to leap forward, so I've got a few things to watch out for. Now, let's very quickly talk about the Superman dive. Again, if you've played Monster Hunter before, I'm sure you're very much aware of this, but for those of you that are new, when fighting a monster, if you sprint away from them and you press roll, you will instead do what we call the Superman dive. Whilst diving through the air, you're invincible, so if you see an attack coming your way and you don't think you can dodge, then dive. Just try to do it at the last minute since you want to be diving to survive, not lying on the floor. Also remember, you have to do this whilst running away, not towards the monster, otherwise you'll roll. So in this instance, I dived since I knew the fast burrow was coming my way and I was probably going to get clipped on the way out. Now at this point, I'm playing a little defensively, trying to regain control of the situation, so I quickly use my radio menu to craft and equip a flash, and flash the monster to keep it from charging. True, they can and will still attack while flashed, but at least I was able to push her back and put some space between us, giving me an opportunity to assess the situation and decide what to do next. Now if I fast forward a little bit, you can see by the minimap that she is no longer enraged. This means if she goes to burrow, I can use the Screamer pods that I brought with me. If I wait for her to burrow underground and begin moving a little, then I fire it, it'll force her out, and this will then provide me with a small opening for damage. Again, I'm not going to go in for any big combos because I know that the opening is limited, plus given how much Black Diablos flails around, trying to do something like say the Big Bang combo for the hammer that relies on each hit landing just isn't reliable. So, when deciding on your attacks, remember, you can't and shouldn't always just go for whatever is most powerful. Sometimes you have to go for whatever makes sense at that given moment. Big power combos are usually for guaranteed openings. It's better to get in and sneak a few hits in than to commit to something that doesn't land or gets you hit in return. Now, in this next instance, when she burrows, you'll see the minimap ring has gone from red to white and the background music for the monster has stopped. This means she's leaving the area, so I wouldn't bother using a Screamer pod in this instance, that would be a waste. I'm instead going to follow her to the next location. Up here is the point that I was expecting to have to deal with. Both monsters are in the same area, however since they initiated a turf war, I might as well let this play out. If Black Diablos wins, no big deal. If by some miracle she loses, it's some free damage. But in the meantime, I can load my dung pods so that I can shoot Diablos once they're done, and this should cause the monster to leave. Sometimes if they're locked in the heat of battle, dung bombs won't always be effective, but generally speaking it's what you do to make the monster leave the area. So once that's done, I have another opening for damage, but soon after that, Black Diablos will leave the area again, so it's another instance where I don't want to waste my Screamer. However, before following her to the next area, notice how the regular Diablos has returned and also has a red eye on the minimap. Now, if I just tried to ignore Diablos and run, since it's enraged and focused on me, it would follow me. If that red eye is there and it's enraged, it's essentially like I'm wearing Challenger Mantle. It would chase me, and since I don't really fancy fighting both of them together, I'm going to dung bomb it here before I leave the area to pursue Black Diablos. Now fast forwarding again, just to show you that not all hunts go your way, I got into a bit of an unfortunate combo here and took a few hits, got dizzy and luckily managed to just about escape. This happens, don't let it faze you. Sometimes things go smoothly, sometimes they don't. In situations like this, just focus on regaining control. If you need to flash the monster to give you a moment to breathe, fair enough. If you have traps, this is something else you can do. But don't worry if things go south, because it happens to the best of us. But either way, once we're back in control, the rest of the fight plays out like normal. It moves to the next area. Since it's not enraged, I can use my screamer pods. It's also getting near death, so I'm getting a few more valuable openings. There is a nice window where she headbutts this rock and knocks herself out. Keeping your eye open for environmental traps or objects that can be used against the monster is also a really good idea, since they can really help turn a fight around. But with her limping, it's just really a case about wrapping up the fight. That being said, don't get too complacent. I've seen many a hunt go south right at the last minute. No Gigante, I'm looking at you. However, when it does leave the area and go to sleep, this is an opportunity for big damage, or at least it would be normally. Keep in mind that the first hit that strikes a sleeping monster is doubled, so if you have someone on your team with a heavy hitting weapon, let them wake it up since they'll do big damage. So if you guys are new and you're playing multiplayer, make sure you don't just attack a monster when it goes to sleep. You can also tell if a monster is going to go to sleep because the background music will cut. So if you hear that, you hear the silence, then stop what you're doing. However, in this instance, Diablos showed up to mess things up, but again, as mentioned, things don't always go your way, and this is the sort of situation that could see the end of the hunt go south. I know Black Diablos is near death, so I'm playing a little bit risky. In truth, I should have dung bombed the first Diablos to make it leave, and then gone with the safer option, but instead I flashed to control the room, and then I went in for some hits in the hope of rounding out the fight. This time, it worked out, but it won't always, so generally speaking, play it safe if you want to come out alive. But that, my friends, is pretty much it. That is a fun run through how to hunt a monster, and while the target was Black Diablos, the principles apply to all monsters, at least for the most part. Screamer pods are a little situational, but general item usage and mindset and hunting, that applies to everything. A lot of the time, if you're dying, it is more than likely because you are overcommitting, trying to sneak in one too many hits and rushing. One example of this is Tempered Kirin. I've had a lot of people come to me saying that they cannot defeat Tempered Kirin, and then my typical response is slow down your combat, go in, adopt a hit and run strategy, go in for a few quick attacks and get out, and generally speaking, once people do that, they come back victorious. Don't be afraid to take your time, put some distance between you and the monster, and think about what's next. You have 50 minutes after all, so there's plenty of time to play with. But anyway, that's it from me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, let me know down below. If you have any other tips you'd like to share with other people, also drop them down below. But thank you for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.